Hello everyone! Today we're going to be jumping back into Standard with a Doppelgang deck. Now I'm sure a lot of you know what Doppelgang does, but for those of you who don't, for XXX green blue, for X permanents, we can create X tokens that are copies of them, which is a lot, but basically to say if X is 1, we can make 1 copy of 1 permanent. If X is 2, we make 2 copies of 2 different permanents, so 4 things, then 3 and 4 and 5 and so on as we get more and more mana. Now, of course, these are target permanents, not target permanents we control, not target permanents our opponents control. It's any permanent. So we'll basically take a look at the battlefield and choose the X best things and make copies of them for ourselves. So very powerful, good way to end the game. But in order for this to pay off, we actually need to have a lot of mana, which is why we get into this second pile over here, which is our ramp in the deck. Glimpse the Core is great for the early game. For us, we can also return caves from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. We do have a decent number of caves in our deck to make this work, so that's going to be really strong for us. Spelunking is powerful as well, letting us draw a card, potentially gaining us some life with that cave synergy, and of course having our lands enter the battlefield untapped is going to be really strong. Invasion of Zendikar gets us some of our basics, and Cosium Confluence can get us some caves. It could destroy enchantments or give us some creatures if we need that, so a lot of utility there. Now, Virtue of Strength is probably one of the biggest enchantments that we're looking to get out onto the battlefield. We can cast it as a sorcery to get a creature or land back from our graveyard, but we do want that enchantment down, tripling the mana from basic lands, notably making it very easy to cast X equals to a very large number. Now, to protect us a little bit in the early game, we have Consuming Tide. Now, Consuming Tide, when we cast this, each player is going to choose a permanent that they control that's not a land, and then every other permanent is going to get returned to that player's hands. So for our case, if we have more than 1 permanent on the battlefield, I'll tell you right now, our prioritization, Virtue of Strength stays on the battlefield for us, or Spelunking stays on the battlefield for us. Those are going to be the 2 that we want to pick. Anything else can go back to our hand most of the time. Now, of course, it is situational. Maybe there's a case where we need to wipe the board to avoid lethal damage, but we have like some Doppelgang stolen things from our opponent, and maybe we want to keep one of those instead. But that aside, we're really looking Virtue of Strength or Spelunking here. Next up, we have our win cons here. So Cavernous Maw, one of our lands, we can turn it into a 3/3 if we have enough caves on the battlefield, and we can copy this with Doppelgang and get enough attackers to win. So that could be pretty strong. But I oftentimes find myself wanting to be able to win on the turn that I can cast a big Doppelgang. And to do that, paired with Virtue of Strength, we have Tyrannix Rex. So this has the added benefit of not being able to be countered, which is really strong just as a normal attacker. With haste, it's going to be good. Toxic 4 makes it strong. But if we can copy this so much as twice and our opponent doesn't have a way to defend against this, we're already looking at almost the game right there. Again, X2 on Doppelgang in this guy, that'll close out a game with no blockers. And then, of course, more and more makes things a little bit better. I've also included Gruff Triplets, again, because this deck does focus a lot on stealing our opponent's deck. We don't have a whole lot of ways to advance our own game plan towards a win if our opponent doesn't really give us too many options. Gruff Triplets just lets us make a wide board and can help us in terms of blockers. And of course, if our opponent isn't running board wipes, this can get out of control incredibly fast. But it won't win us the game the turn we play it, like Tyrannix Rex has the possibility to. Last thing to talk about before we dive into the lands are Colossal Sky Turtle and Shigeki. These, we have a lot of utility here, so we can use Colossal Sky Turtle to get a card from our graveyard into our hand, which is going to be powerful, and we can channel it to return a creature to our opponent's hand if we need to for a little bit of early game interaction. Shigeki can act as ramp in the early game if we play him and use the ability, and we also have that channel ability to grab non-legendary cards from our graveyard and put them back into our hand, which is pretty strong. So together, these two will let us keep looping Doppelgangs regardless of whether they get countered or end up in the graveyard or whatever. And then here, just for our lands, I moved the Cavernous Maw back. We have 1 copy of Field of Ruin, some Hidden Nursery, some Hidden Cataracts. These are good since we can copy them as permanents with Doppelgang. We can get extra Discovers if our hand is a little bit light, and then enough basics to make it worth it to run Virtue of Strength. So deck list is included down in the description if you want to go ahead and copy this for yourselves. And if you guys have been enjoying my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my latest videos. And if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like. Let's go ahead and see how this deck does. Alright, so we're going first here. This isn't bad. I think we can keep it. I like having Doppelgang in hand. I think Invasion will be good for us. We can start with a tapped land. Having access to both our colors is nice. We can use Colossal Sky Turtle for early interaction. Yeah. Honestly, Sky Turtle, use Virtue to get it back. I think that's a good way to stall for the early game as well. So let's go ahead, start with our tap land. And then we'll just slowly work our way up. Alright, let's play Shigeki here. I think that's just gonna hedge against us not finding another land for turn 4 invasion. Because we do want to be ramping. That's fine. We have another Shigeki in the deck. So that's no concern to us. Glimpse the core. Grab one of you. So now we have enough lands for invasion next turn. We'll make sure we hit the double blue. Yeah, we're going to be ramping much faster than our opponent. And even missing a land drop here. We'll double basic blue ones is fine. If we find one more land, we can maybe try for Virtue next turn. I would love to draw an untapped land here.
Under my watch, neither vampire nor human will go extinct.
Alright. We do not, but we do have Cosmic Confluence here. So let's go... Let's see. Honestly, destroy an enchantment, you, and... Do we want to hit the Sorin? I kind of think we do. So we destroy you. We'll search for this guy. We'll make that a creature just so we have a little extra utility. And then, of course, if our cave gets destroyed, we can bring it back with the Virtue. Unless it gets exiled.
This is what you get for
But
hurting my...
either way, we'll just play out Gruff Triplets here. It's a great draw.
My ways are not for the weak.
So we have to be careful with the Sorin, -7 now. But Sarah Paragon's not really going to do too much. Alright, so we do have Trample here. We get 1 damage through that way, and then we'll try and flip our invasion. Interesting.
How dare you disrespect me?
So we've got 2 6/6s. And then, in that case, honestly, I think we go here, Virtue, get the triplets back. And let's go Spelunking. Hold up the mana for Sky Turtle. We'll just channel return the Sarah Paragon before they get extra value. Make them spend extra mana for that. Gruff Triplets really coming in strong for us, and the fact that we have it back in our hand to play again next turn is going to be really good.
Blood for knowledge. A fair trade.
Of course, our opponent may just have a board wipe. Yep, not much we can do about that. But in this case, I think we go Confluence. Let's make sure that I don't mess up with auto tap right now. Do this. And that. We'll grab you. Grab that guy. Grab you.
Wallow in darkness.
And then we're not gonna go ahead and play Shigeki because we lost our one earlier, so we do want to hold on to that. Virtue of Strength is gonna be nice for us. Alright. We'll just play this. Play that. Channel Sky Turtle. Get rid of that. I don't want to deal with that right now. And now we have a ton of mana, so whatever our opponent does, Doppelgang is going to be really strong. I honestly hope they replay the Elish North. Alright, Shieldred. Have us sacrifice our land. That's fine. Let's see what we got going on here. Alright. Honestly, I think we play out the Gruff Triplets. And then, what do we have here? So, 15 mana, right? So we can do X4. And then we'll pick their Shieldred to copy. We'll pick our Virtue of Strength. We'll pick Gruff Triplets, and then we'll pick their Incubator token for fun. Not that it matters, we'll keep that Shieldred. Again, the Incubator token doesn't really matter. The +1/+1 counters aren't gonna transfer over, but now with the 4 Virtues of Strength, and with Shigeki to get back our Doppelgang and our Colossal Sky Turtles and all of that, I think we're gonna be in a really good spot.
I won't let a few thugs threaten. I've made plenty of connections.
And of course, we do have over 22 damage right now as well. And we've got it. Alright, so we have our opponent going first here. Glimpse the core early. I'm gonna take a mulligan. I think we can find something a little bit nicer. Like this. We'll get rid of 1 copy of Spelunking. We'll play our tap land. Might be worth it to get Shigeki out onto the battlefield. Tough cookie. Alright. Yeah, let's play Shigeki here. We can always get Shigeki back with Garenbrig Growth here on Virtue of Strength. Next turn, we can go Spelunking for 2 lands. If they have a removal spell for Shigeki, that's fine. Seems like they're going to be playing an artifact aggro type deck, so any resources that they spend not trying to kill us early are going to be worth it. Well, here we go. That's pretty good. We go Spelunking and we get a Hidden Nursery. Or we can play the Cavernous Maw. Let's go Hidden Nursery, since we can use that to get Shigeki back. Staying mana efficient. I think everything's looking pretty good for us. Yep. I mean, Tough Cookie's just gonna do that. And there's not much else that we can do about that. I can play Shigeki, though. Yep. Slowing our opponent down is good. I'm gonna go Spelunking here. Forest. That sets us up pretty nicely. On the turn here. Alright. Soon to have access to white mana. So here, we'll block with Shigeki. Save ourselves some damage, activate the ability. I'll go ahead and grab you. We do fine Doppelgang. Takes 6 damage next turn. I actually don't mind that, if it means we get our Virtue now. And we'll get our Sky Turtle back. So we could go X4 on Doppelgang. That's gonna be really good. Okay. Not bad. Now, let's see. Double check here. So 17 mana. So we can actually go X5. So I want more islands. I'll take a tough cookie. We'll make all of our mana 12 times as good for no reason. Copy some forests as well. We'll keep that one. And of course, all of those are going to tap for mana, and we're going to get a bunch of food tokens, which is great for us. Let's go Colossal Sky Turtle. We'll channel that. Yeah, 700 something man. Oh, sorry, we just played that. My mistake. I know, pick 3. Grab back all of these. Again, we have way too much mana. More mana than we'd functionally need. And then, let's think, what's the last thing that I want to do here? Doppelgang. I mean, I like 5. I think 5 sounds like a good number again. Trying not to break the token limit. We want Sky Turtles, we want you. And then we'll pick that land, and then that land. And, what else? I don't want to draw too many cards. Let's just grab Jetmir's Garden for fun. That looks good. Next turn, we should have it. Make a bunch more food tokens. I'll just gain a little bit of life now, while we have mana. But we can also use our tough cookies. Yep. I don't think it's us causing the rope here, but we have been doing a lot this turn. We're gonna keep this Virtue of Strength over here. Again, we're just gonna hedge. Yeah, and then this should be fine. Our life total is more than stable at this point. I'm happy to pass the turn. We have enough mana to go ahead and use extra food tokens if need be. So we'll just pass and lose 1,400 something mana. So I think this is the part where we find out that our opponent was in fact roping. So I'll just go ahead and cut until after they start doing something. Alright, so we are back at my turn. A fun thing to note here, now we didn't channel Colossal Sky Turtle so that way we could get that back with Shigeki and keep on looping things just yet, but we did copy Hidden Cataract, which will let us discover 4 a whole bunch of times if we want to. Not that we're not in a winning position here, of course, just in case you were curious about what we could do if our opponent had wiped the board or something like that, we do have the ability to Discover as a backup. And of course, this Discover, with it being Discover 4, gives us plenty of opportunities to hit things like Shigeki, to hit things like Doppelgang as well, with mana value 2. So we're definitely in a very safe position here. And even if we lost all of our Virtues of Strength, we have enough lands where we could just play one out and have access to a ton of mana that way as well. So we're going to wait for the rope to finish up, and then depending on how things go, we'll either swing out for lethal with flying, or our opponent's going to go ahead and lose that way. Yep, we've got it. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed. So as we were able to see there, this deck is pretty fun to play. We have a lot of early game ramp, and if we can land that ramp, our late game is going to be incredibly powerful with Doppelgang. We can use Doppelgang to take our opponent's best creatures and give us their game plan, but slightly better. You know, hence the Doppelgang, name of the card. Or we can also use it on some of our own creatures and threats to create a board that's very powerful and easy to win the game with. The big all-star in this deck is Virtue of Strength. You get this out on the battlefield, and you have a Doppelgang that you're able to cast in the next turn. You're almost certainly going to be able to win the game off that. I mean, Doppelgang X4, X5, X6. I mean, you eventually get to a point where, sure, you could make more things, but it's not even worth it just because you start to get worried about token limits. I mean, we saw in that previous game having 1400 mana without all of our lands tapped because we had 6 copies of Virtue of Strength, right? It gets pretty out of control pretty fast. And then, side note, just for win conditions, you have your opponent conceding, of course, but we have Cavernous Maw, which you can make a ton of copies of and swing in with. You've got Colossal Sky Turtle, Tyrannix Rex if you have something need haste. Keep in mind, if we want to draw to that, we can also cycle Doppelgangs until he hits Spelunking, and then copy Spelunking to draw cards to find Tyrannix Rex. So, as long as we're able to kind of create a loop, we'll be able to find some sort of win. Especially if we want it to be the turn of. But of course, that's all excessive, because once we are able to copy Doppelgang and cast it multiple times in a turn, I mean, the game should be over at that point. So, if you all enjoyed, make sure you give the video a like, and if you have any ideas for another deck that you'd like to see me play, why don't you let me know in a comment down below. I'll see you all next time.